final score, number 1, Michigan 91, number 7, Purdue 80. The Wolverines took a 20-point lead on the road over the sports preseason number 1 and won the game by 11. Norlander, good to see you on this Wednesday morning. You were in the building for Michigan's latest beatdown. What'd you make of Michigan's 21st double-digit victory of this season?
Hello from West Lafayette. That was, I think, the loudest gym I had ever been in to start a basketball game. Been in louder ones at the end of it, but the crowd was ready to go. Not just because Michigan is number 1, but also because, as I detailed in my column overnight, Yaxel Lendenborg, like last June, and I talked to him and I talked to Dusty about this, he was at a bar. He may have been imbibing. And then someone who was a Purdue fan and some other person approached him and basically just probed him, encouraged him to talk on the Michigan-Purdue rivalry, whatever you want to call it. And he did so authoritatively, enthusiastically. Well, that video never went public until this past weekend. And then, of course, in Purdue circles, it was widely shared. And so if you actually counted out, and I did not, but if you counted out the number of times, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 deep, the paint crew last night shouted out, "Bleep you, Yaxel." It was north of 50 easily. And it was loud. It was intimidating. And yet it did not matter. Michigan was able to immediately handle all of that din. Sounded like a jet engine there on Robbie Hummel bobblehead night, nonetheless. And they get it done to the tune of a 91-80 to win. And the reason that 91-80, Michigan was basically nursing anywhere between a 15 and a 10-point lead for the majority of the final 10 minutes of the game. They went on a 24-4 run early in the first half to gain that separation and basically put the lead out of reach. Braden Smith didn't even score a point in the first 20 minutes. He rallied in the second 20, but TKR had 27. They didn't double. He was able to get his, and they were totally fine kind of letting TKR get his and try and shut everyone else down. There was a key moment I felt in the second half where Braden Smith had a really nice steal, behind the back save, falling out of bounds. Fletcher Lawyer gets in transition. If he would hit the three, the building would have popped. They still would have been down a few possessions. Instead, it's an air ball. That was deflating. Fletcher Lawyer only ended with 11 points. He was 2 of 5 from deep. Smith, for his part, only made 4 field goals overall, had 4 steals, 6 assists, also 3 turnovers. They didn't get any help elsewhere. It was just not nearly enough. Adai Mara did foul out. Marez Johnson did foul out, but Mara's presence was undeniable. And so here Michigan sits at 25-1. The preseason number 1 could not beat the actual number 1. Michigan didn't hit number 1 until this week for the first time this season, for the first time since 2013. It is now the first Big Ten team to hit 25-1 since Ohio State in 2011. It has won 6 consecutive Big Ten road games by 10 or more points. That's only the second time ever that's happened in that league. The other time was Illinois in the 1950s. The Wolverines have won almost every game this season by double digits. They did it here again, 91-80 at Mackey Arena on Tuesday night. I remain extremely impressed. And as I tagged my column with this morning, this is the toughest. You can certainly make the case. And the Big 12's had some tough back-to-backs. Don't get me wrong. Iowa State just had to get Kansas and Houston, but both those games were on its home floor. I don't know if there's really a tougher 2-game stretch in a week than Michigan at Purdue and then on a neutral against Duke on Saturday. If the Wolverines beat Duke, and especially if they beat Duke with some breathing room, they will have separated from the rest of the sport heading into March. Doesn't mean they can't get caught. Doesn't mean they might not get caught. Still in the league here to come. They've got to play at Illinois at the end of the month. But I do think Michigan is 1 win away this weekend from truly tearing itself out, given what it's been able to do so far. The only loss at home by 3 to Wisconsin, and Bucky needed 15 threes in that game to even get the dub. What are your thoughts on what happened where I'm sitting here on Tuesday night?
First, I want to get out in front of this because that Yaxel video was obviously less than ideal. Let he who has never perhaps said something he shouldn't have said, done something he shouldn't have done after, a drink or two, cast the first stone. but I want to get out in front of this. There's a video like that of me floating around out there.
Is there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You're Streisand affecting yourself right now.
It was Elvis week. It was Elvis week, and I don't know whether I was celebrating or trying to keep my mind off of things. It's always a fine line. And somebody was like, GP. I was like, what's up? And they had the phone in my face and stuff. And they were like, so what do you think of UMBC? And I was like, F UMBC. F UMBC. Because that's UMass Lowell's rival in the America East. It was Elvis week. It's his alma mater.
Yeah.
So I understand. Like, I'm not condoning what Yaxel did. I'm just saying I've been there myself. Anyway, he responded brilliantly. The Wolverines responded brilliantly. And now they're 25-1, 15-1 in the Big Ten, 10-0 in Quadrant 1, only power conference one-loss team. They got a 40-point win over Gonzaga, 40-point win over San Diego State, 30-point wins over Auburn and UCLA, 28-point win over Villanova, double-digit win at Purdue. And if they beat Duke this weekend and they're not the unanimous number one on Monday, then I'm bringing back the poll and text column.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. Thank you. I think one voter did not vote in Michigan number one this week.
And I'm not going to put a name on it.
Okay.
I'm not here to do that anymore. I'm a different person than I used to be.
Well, it's time to go back to the old me.
I know that video is floating around and it's going to look like I'm still the old me, but that was the old me. It's an old video. It was Elvis week. I'm not who I used to be. But if they beat Duke on Saturday and somebody decides to give a number one vote in the AP poll on Monday to anybody on the planet other than Michigan, the poll and text column is coming back. When I don't care how tired I am. I don't care how much I want to sleep on a plane. I don't care who's playing on Big Monday. I'm knocking out a poll and text column on Monday if Michigan beats Duke and they're not the unanimous number one in the AP poll. This is how I get loose when it's time to fight.
You are getting loose.
I do want to be. Yes, I've never fought since 5th grade, but I imagine if I were about to, I'd do something like this. I imagine if Mick Cronin ever talked to me the way he talked to that one dude last night, I'd do something like this.
Oh yeah, look at that.
We'll get to that.
By the way, I told these guys, a couple of fellas from the paint crew, they gave us shirts. I said I would wear this on the show if Purdue won. Purdue didn't win. Whose house? Well, apparently Michigan's house, not Purdue's house.
Looks like it's Michigan's house.
Yeah. Appreciate Noah and his buddy for saying hello before the game. I got a paint crew shirt for you. I'll give it to you, I guess, at the Final Four at the latest. So
all right, I'll wear it to St. Elmo.
This one's yours, buddy. That student section is incredible. It really is. And it is a top 5 environment in college basketball. It's just inarguable. Weirdly enough, Purdue has dropped 3 games at home this season, and it was a rout at the hands of Iowa State. It was a runaway, essentially, against Michigan, and Keaton Wahlberg dropped 46 on their heads in that building. So you don't typically have a season like this where they can't get it done. But that said, Matt Painter told me that we played good teams. They're the best. They are the best. That's the best team we have played. He said in the press conference, they will not lose 4 games because at this point, Purdue is now 21-5. I think he was saying like we have 4 losses. And I think he was trying to say like going into the game, Purdue had 4 losses. It has 5 now. And Michigan being 25-1, he's like, they're not losing 4 games this year. Not going to happen. And there is something to be said for that. Michigan has also been number one variety of advanced metrics for essentially half or more than half the season. So it took a while to get there in the AP poll. I asked Dusty about that as well after the game, because he said when they knew they were going to get to number one in the AP poll, they talked about, should we bring this up with the team? We finally got to this point and here's what comes next. They actually opted against even bringing it up. And then Dusty told me, like, outside of like seeing it in the media, like it hasn't come up here. Had someone talk about it on the plane, not on the bus ride, not in the huddle, not in the practices, not the walkthroughs, not at the team meals. Hasn't come up at all. It's not going to be a thing. We're trying to get a Big Ten, championship, which last night, that's the other thing with this. Like Michigan won the Big Ten last night. It's 25-1 with a 15-1 league record. Games remaining: home Minnesota, at Illinois, at Iowa, home Michigan State. There's still challenging games on that schedule. And mathematically, this isn't done. But at worst, Michigan will share the Big Ten regular season championship, and I think it will win it outright. It has a 2-game lead on Illinois right now. And the other thing that Painter said in his presser was, to be preseason number 1 doesn't mean anything. And I don't disagree. I don't agree with that in full, but I get what he's saying. And he tagged that with, when you get to February and you're the number 1 team in the country, that actually does mean something. They have proven what they are. And we've talked so much about Michigan. We'll continue to do so. I'm so impressed with that team. They have all this balance. Yaxel also gave me a great quote. He said something like, well, we're a team that doesn't have a best player. Michigan's best player was telling me it was a team that doesn't have a best player. He's the best player on the team, but they are incredibly balanced. Elliot Cadeau is terrific. He was fantastic. But if they don't turn the ball over, what's the weakness? And Dusty also said that. He's like, we feel we can play any style, any way you want to play. We can adapt. Don't have any holes. Didn't say they're infallible. You can check the quote in the story. Sure, they can be beat. They don't have holes. So that's why they're rated as the best team in the country. Last thing from me on Purdue real quick. This is a 21-5 team, 11-4 in the league. The losses are what I just mentioned, the 3 at home, in addition to a 2-point loss on the road against UCLA. Mick Cronin, we are getting to you. Don't worry, buddy. And then by 5 at Indiana. There's nothing embarrassing about Purdue's resume. It was a projected 2 seed going into this game. However, if you want to kind of take a step back and say, now, wait a minute. This Purdue team was not universal because I did not have them preseason number 1, but it was the preseason number 1 team in the eyes of many and was the official preseason number 1 in the AP Top 25. And it's had great opportunities at home against title contenders, Iowa State, Illinois, Michigan, failed all of them. It has not been able to pull off a real impressive win in a true road environment outside of Bama, which was nice. I'll give them the Nebraska one in overtime. Obviously, that was good. And they got right against Iowa, but Iowa's not on the level of those teams. So where are we with Purdue? What is this team? Is it Final Four capable? Are we just going to say, it's 1-game result? Michigan's insane, and so let's not put this as an indictment on the Boilermakers. I don't know right now, Parrish. What I do know is that this team overall is not as strong as I expected it to be. Doesn't mean I don't think it can make a Final Four. I think it's still got the coaching and the ability to do that. A lot of people are going to sell on Purdue in general in that, and I understand why, but I'm not going to go that far. But I thought it was all too timely, all too appropriate that the preseason number 1 hosted the actual number 1 in its first week with that 1 next to its name in the AP poll, and it went the way that, frankly, it probably deserved to go because Michigan has shown the entire season why it's at the top of the sport, and Purdue has been, just chipping away at that second level.
I think what we saw last night says more about Michigan than it says about Purdue, but it does say something about Purdue because if you are, I think, legitimately worthy of the number 1 you had by your name in the preseason, maybe the Iowa State thing can happen just because it's a thing. Maybe the Michigan thing can happen. Those 2 things should not happen to you both in the same season. If they do, by definition, it's not a one-off. It's like, okay, you're not elite because elite teams don't get handled like that at home. Not twice in the same season. And I don't even think Matt would argue with that. Now, it doesn't mean they can't be elite or get back to what they were on a night because there have been moments in the season where they looked like the best team in the country. They were early probably, but still. But getting run off the court in front of that fan base in that arena, that was surprising to me. And though it says more about Michigan than it says about Purdue, I do think it says something about Purdue. As for Michigan, like I went through the record and where they're at now. Number 1, also in the net, KenPom, KPI, Torvik. BPI still has them at number 2. I don't know what's going on there. You got to talk to BPI.
I don't need to talk to anyone. That's just how it is. But that's the only one where it's not number 1. So
to talk. I need you to talk to BPI if you can get a second.
I'll see Borzello later today. That's his department.
Can you get Borzello to fix that?
I will.
I get mad every time I look at it. I'm like, what are you doing, BPI? I mean, I know you're probably brilliant somehow. I know you're so smart somehow, but you look dumb right now. Next up for Purdue, Friday's game with Indiana. Next up for Michigan, Saturday's game with the Duke Blue Devils. Let's keep it moving.